Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Entitled people make absolutely no sense. It's funny how angry they get when the OP gets the house he totally deserves. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Entire family shuns me for receiving house. My grandfather, being a stroke victim, had a little trouble getting around, but he could still do the basics, food, bathroom, etc. As he started to get older, these things got harder to manage. This is where the entitlement starts. EA, entitled aunt, OU, okay uncle, BU, better uncle, EF, entitled father, my father. As you can probably tell, my grandparents have 4 children, and they're listed from eldest to youngest. Okay, uncle and better uncle live 30 to 45 minutes away. Entitled aunt and my father live much closer, just outside of town limits and the next town over, respectively. As my grandfather got to the state to where he needed help on a daily basis, I started getting phone calls on a daily basis. EF does not work. He's been disabled for years due to a hip surgery. EA works for the school district. I'm a truck driver. One of these has erratic and unpredictable hours, and the others do not. I'm going to get a bit graphic, but not too much. Many a day after 10 to 12 hours on the road, I would have to get home, then immediately go across town to find my grandfather sitting in his accident from earlier that day. I was told that he called everyone else and he either got excuses or no answer. Making a long story longer, OU would show up and bring food every now and then, BU would visit every Thursday, still does, EF and EA wouldn't show their faces unless there was a big hullabaloo, usually if they thought it involved me. This culminated in me, the wife, and kids moving into his house, and after some time, he signed it into my name, because in his words, I was the only one who gave a damn enough to come help him every day, and he thought I deserved the house I basically grew up in. Cue EF and EA going berserk. EF has already ended up with the family farm, so I don't know why he cared. But EA and her daughter had been the previous beneficiaries of the house where my grandparents passed away. This resulted in many days of arguments, threats, and all the other quintessential entitlement traits, simply because I had the gall to take care of my grandfather, when the two that lived close enough could as well, and then accept the house that was rightfully theirs when they had done absolutely nothing to deserve it. Needless to say, I don't talk to over half of my family anymore, including my own father, for this and other reasons. I know it's not the most entertaining or outlandish, but I wanted to share. And our second story. Stay put and don't move. My dad and I were at a big box home improvement store and he needed help with loading and unloading some large items. I wasn't too keen on the trip, so I think I stayed in the truck. At some point, he left the cart inside the store and decided to move the truck from our parking space to an accessible one closer to the entrance. Me: you can't park there, it's a handicap spot. Dad: nobody's using it, so it's fine. I need to load everything and it'll only be a few minutes. Me: no, it's not fine. They're there for a reason, you're not handicapped. Dad: if I say it's fine, it's fine. Stop arguing. Me: I'm telling you, it's not fine. Just move to a different spot, you'll get a ticket. Dad: no, I won't. I'll go get the cart, you stay put and don't move. He left the truck and went to get purchases. Go figure, very shortly after my dad headed inside, I saw a police car in the parking lot, headed my way. Now, if I'd wanted to, I could have hopped to the driver's seat and moved to the loading area, which would have prevented this whole fiasco, or to another space, but A, I wasn't comfortable driving a massive truck, and B, more importantly, I was told to stay put and not move. Yes, sir, the officer noted that we didn't have the appropriate parking placard, and naturally, he wrote a ticket. Since I was in the passenger seat, he handed it directly to me. Me: sorry, I told my dad not to park here, but he wouldn't listen. Officer: well, it'll be an expensive lesson for him. An eternity later, my dad came back and we loaded the truck. Once we were back inside, I wordlessly passed him the ticket, arching my eyebrows with an unspoken, "Told you so." Fortunately, this was very atypical behavior for him, and it's one of the rare occasions he was inconsiderate. I didn't suffer any consequences for my inaction, but my dad got chastised for the $200 ticket. Bottom line, don't be a selfish a-hole and park in disabled spots. Yeah, the tickets suck, but what you're really doing is screwing over a disabled person, someone who actually needs these spots. And our last story. I didn't allow my sister to live in my house during her divorce and then called the cops on her when she broke into my house. So I have 2 elderly parents I don't talk to. They did not raise me. A lot of family drama, and I'm the youngest of 8 children, all of whom I don't talk to aside from my sister who's closest in age to me. I've been an engineer for 20 plus years and have never really put down roots. I own a century home that I've been restoring the last 10 years, but it sits vacant for months at a time while I'm abroad. Last year I took a job in Kuwait and won't be back until next year. The only ones allowed in the house are my son and my neighbor, both of whom watch over my house for me while I'm gone. I got a call 3 nights ago from my oldest sister whom I've never met. She's going through a messy divorce and wants to move into my house until it's over, with 2 of her kids and her grandkid. I said no. She exploded on me, saying I've never tried to be a member of and suggesting I was the reason my parents split up. I probably am, but I really don't care. All these people are foreign to me. The sister I do talk to won't talk to me, saying I was heartless, and I got angry phone calls from a lot of family saying much of the same. A lot of guys at work agreed that I should have opened my home to them. Fast forward to today. They had drove there and broken window to gain entry to my home, and my neighbor called me informing me of the situation. I called the cops and told them I was out of the country and could not return, but would like them removed from the property, and she was arrested for trespassing. I told them I wasn't pressing charges, and I received more angry phone calls saying I should have said no to begin with and shouldn't have ever had her arrested. Apparently most of my family and friends think I'm the a-hole. My neighbor's going to board the window, and he said there's a bunch of trash all over the place that I told him to leave. The thing is, she has a great job, she gets paid quite well, and she should have just paid for a hotel instead of invading my home. I don't really know. My family is my son and sister. Everyone else is just another person. Series of edits, hopefully to give some background. I was raised by my grandparents. I don't remember my parents when I was younger, and when they divorced when I was 2, my mom's parents took me in. Why? My sister assumes it's because my dad told my mom at one point no more kids and they had me. That's what my grandparents believed as well, but nobody has ever given me a real reason from the source. And it really isn't important for me to find out. I grew up 2 states away from the nearest relative, and I had a great childhood. My grandparents passed when I was 16. They were in their 90s to give further context, and at the reading of my grandpa's will, they wanted me to finish high school and live with one of their friends who agreed, and the court agreed too. During the reading, I met my mom, one of my brothers who was 18 years my senior, and my sister who's 4 years my senior. My sister and I talked quite a bit. She was in the Army, I was going into the Army, how we were similar, etc. She was great and always has been. She's stationed in Hawaii and is why she couldn't take the older sister in. Other than those 2 siblings, I've never met any of the others. They were cut out of my grandparents' lives, so there was never a contact with me either. My mother contested the will because she felt she was entitled to more being their only daughter, and because the will had been rewritten just 3 years before my grandmother, and eventually grandfather, passed. The material objects I was given, i.e. family heirlooms, pictures, etc., were put into a storage locker and paid for until I was 18. I was cool with that. I didn't have room. While we were packaging up the estate, my mom asked me if she could take some of the photos, and she didn't have many, and I agreed. I was a kid, and I was dumb. After a few hours, I noticed my sister/brother/mother were gone, and it was just me and my grandparents' friends. And I noticed a year later that a lot of things were missing. All the photo albums, their wedding rings, which were in a scrapbook I couldn't locate, and other miscellaneous items. I didn't know who to blame, but I felt awful about it and suspected my mother. A year after I found out about the missing stuff, I was informed by probate that the executor of the will failed to pay the taxes on my grandparents' house, and it was lost to back taxes, which really upset me, and I blame my mother, because she was the one who contested it to begin with. So I went into the Army. At 19, I had my son and was married shortly after. We invited all my family once more, but only my sister came. She was stationed in Germany at the time, so it was pretty great. She told me how she was getting married soon and showed me a ring, which was my grandmother's. I asked her about it, and she said our mother said it was a family heirloom. Sure, I could have made a scene, but we'd become close, and she was so happy, so I said nothing. I told her about the missing stuff last year, and she said it was probably just a mistake and that she'd ask about the rings. 6 years later, I divorced my wife amicably. There's a story with my ex-wife, but it really doesn't matter. I get along with her. She was a great mother to my son and is still pretty special to me. My son and I talk every day. Ever since I discovered Skype, it's been our daily routine, now FaceTime. Not sure Skype still exists. And I've let him know about his extended family as much as I know. About 3 months ago, my sister told me my mother called me a liar and that she didn't have any of her parents' things. I shrugged it off. I can't change it. Just an important life lesson. And that's the contact I've had with my family. I've never reached out since I was married forever ago. I've never met my dad. All of my brothers and sisters have really good jobs. Pharmacist, a doctor, a couple of nurses, therapist, etc. But I really don't know them. But they're all self-sufficient from what I'm told. I'm also a little neurotic. So this is how I view the landscape. Black and white. I know that I'm intelligent, but emotions are a landscape which I don't exactly comprehend, and I've never known why. I love my life. I just don't always understand some of the things in my life. I find it interesting that all these family members are telling you that you're in the wrong, but they're not willing to take her in. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.